All right, this video is about chapter 4.4, which is using corresponding parts of congruent triangles. So far we have learned 4 ways that we can prove triangles congruent. They were side, 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 angle, side, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Okay, once you know that you have 2 triangles that are congruent to each other, you can draw conclusions about their corresponding parts, because by definition, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, and that is known for us as CPCTC, and you are allowed to write it as that. So what that means is that, for example, in this picture here, I can tell that these triangles are congruent by side, side, side. But now that I know the triangles are congruent, I don't just know that their sides are congruent. I know, for example, that angle B is congruent to angle F. And my reason would be corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, so that would be my reason for that. So let's say in this picture I'm given, and again, I'm going to assume that you guys will write down the givens. You're not just going to write the little squiggly like I did there. I'm just saving time for the video. So in this picture, we're told that segment AB is congruent to DE, angle A is congruent to D, and side AC is congruent to side DF. And again, they've marked the picture for us. They're asking us this time, we're not proving triangles are congruent, proving that angle C is congruent to angle F. Well, I happen to know from all of the markings that I have here that these triangles, triangle ABC, is congruent to triangle DEF, and my reason is side, angle, side, right? So I can see that these triangles are congruent by side, angle, side. Once I know they are congruent, I know that all of their corresponding parts are congruent. So I know that angle C is congruent to angle F, and my reason is going to be CPCTC. It's hard to write it and say it at the same time. CPCTC, which is corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All right, same idea here. We have our given information. I can see from the way the pictures are marked that these triangles are congruent by side, side, side. So I can see that triangle MNO is congruent to triangle PQR, and my reason is side, side, side. Make sure, by the way, these have that little extra step that you have to match up the letters and the congruent statement because it's not given to us in the proof. So when I say triangle MNO, I have to match those parts. Notice that M is between 1 and 3 tick marks. So that has to match with P, which is between 1 and 3 tick marks. N is between 1 and 2 tick marks. So that has to match with Q. And then O is between 2 and 3 tick marks. That has to match with R. So that is a little bit of an extra thing you have to be careful about here. That order matters. But now that I know these triangles are congruent, I know that angle M is congruent to angle P, and my reason is going to be CPCTC, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All right, let's look at this picture. We're given that angle KBC is congruent to angle ACB. I know that angle K is congruent to angle A because of the given information. Again, they've marked that for us. Now, I see that I'm trying to prove that segment KB is congruent to segment AC, and I think that the way I'm going to do that is by first proving these triangles congruent. We don't have enough information yet, so I have to add my own geometric knowledge, which I can see right here that these triangles are sharing segment BC. So I would say segment BC is congruent to segment BC by the reflexive property. Now I know that these triangles are congruent. Again, make sure you are matching up the pieces of these triangles when you write your congruent statement. Triangle KBC is congruent to triangle ACB, and my reason I can see here in the picture is going to be angle, angle, side. Now that I know they are congruent, I can say that segment KB is congruent to segment AC, and my reason again, CPCTC, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All right, and this one, segment BA is congruent to segment DA. Segment CA is congruent to segment EA. The picture is marked for us. This is my given information. Again, I don't yet have enough information to prove that these triangles are congruent, so I have to bring my own geometric knowledge to the picture, and I can see that we can use vertical angles theorem to show that angle CAB is congruent to angle EAD. Notice I can't call them angle A. There are a lot of angles there with the vertex of A. And now that I have that, I do know that triangle CAB is congruent to triangle EAD by side angle side. Again, make sure you're matching them up in order. I did CAB, so I went across 2 tick marks and then across 1 tick mark. So that's how I knew that I was going to go from E to A to D, triangle EAD. Now that my triangles are congruent, I know that angle C is congruent to angle E by CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All right, I'm told that segment OM bisects angle LMN, and I know that angle LOM is congruent to angle NOM, and those are my given. It's not marked in the picture, so I'm going to do that right now. Angle LOM is congruent to angle NOM. That's these angles here. Now this says segment OM bisects angle LMN, which is this big angle. We know that bisects means it splits it in half, so that means that those angles must be congruent, but I have to write that in my proof. That is not given to me, so I'm going to write that in my proof. Angle LMO is congruent to angle NMO. Why do I know that? Definition of a bisector. They gave me a bisector. I know that it splits it in half, creates 2 congruent angles. That needs an angle symbol. Okay, so I don't yet have enough to prove these triangles congruent, so I have to add my own geometry knowledge. I do see that they share this side MO, so I'm going to say that segment MO is congruent to segment MO. That is going to be a reflexive property. And now that I have that, you can see that these triangles are congruent by angle side angle. So I have to get my congruence statement ready. I see that triangle LMO is congruent to triangle NMO, and that's going to be by angle side angle. Now that I know the triangles are congruent, I can say that segment ML is congruent to segment MN by using CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent.